Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of French auction portal Informal Shares, and we're going to have a look at another auction by Vichy. So if you watched any of the videos recently, you would have seen that we had a couple of auctions already on Vichy. One was kind of bowed stringed instruments, lower tier stuff, and we also had a general musical instrument one, which I think I uploaded maybe not yesterday but the day before. So this is also a general musical instrument sale, but it's like a lot better kind of level of stuff. The other one was a bit kind of like hit and miss. This I think has some really interesting good stuff, so might take us a little bit longer to get through this auction because I think some of it's worth looking at in more detail. But anyway, so another French auction here. This one is finishing on the 6th of May. It's the 5th today, so a bit short notice, but it's ending tomorrow, but still time to bid. I'll hopefully get this video up tonight. The buyer's premium is 24% as normal with Vichy, so you pay that on top of the hammer price. Check all the terms and conditions. Like I said, this is a French auction, so if you're outside of France, check all the import, export, shipping fees, CITES restrictions, all of that kind of fun. So yeah, I'm going to go through it, put a link in the description, check it out and see what you think. Any comments? I think there's some really interesting stuff, so this might take a little while. We've got 303 lots, but I think it's really worth looking at this auction in a bit more depth. There's some interesting stuff for sure, so let's see anyway, see what we can do. We'll try and go through it as efficiently as possible. So first of all, I'll start with a Neapolitan mandolin, 300 to 500 euros there. Giovanni Minieri, 1900. Nice vaulted back on that. It's a good sign of a quality mandolin, or at least a better quality mandolin. Nice engraving on the tuner plate, so that is fairly nice. Here's an interesting mandolin here, electric mandolin with a Rickenbacker mark. Interesting that it's got like a kind of whammy bar tremolo here. That's quite curious. The old horseshoe pickup there. So this is pretty curious. 300 to 500 euros. Have to say I've not seen one like this before. Some interesting bits. Not my kind of sphere of knowledge really, but a curious looking thing. This is a fairly kind of standard mandolin here, so we don't need to go too much onto that. This one also kind of Neapolitan mandolin, although it does have I think a Calacha label there, so that's a better kind of level of mandolin there. Speaking of better mandolins, this is obviously in need of restoration, but this is a beautiful mandolin by Antonius Vinaccia, like one of the great makers, families of mandolins as well as violins, fine makers of violins. This has a very beautiful vaulted back, very nice. Lots of tortoise shell, I think, here all over the fingerboard, all over kind of the plates. That's nice. Saying from Naples, 1778, 1200 to 1500. Needs a lot of work, but that's a really nice example of an 18th century mandolin there. So if you're into mandolins, I think that's something that you'd look out for. Another kind of fairly standard mandolin there, so we'll go past that. I think this is as well. This is more interesting, a mandor there, so an older style of kind of mandolin, kind of lute type thing. They're saying maybe kind of late 18th century there. Interesting looking instrument here, 1780 on the label. You don't see too many mandors around. It's got a repair label as well. It's quite interesting, quite plain, but curious. 500 to 700 euros there. It's got a Gibson mini banjo. Let's have a look at this. Curious little thing. Another mandor here, but very beautiful mandor. Wow, that is quite something. Giuseppe Fontanelli, Bologna, 1735. 5 to 7,000 there. That's a very nice example of a mandor there. Once again, looks like tortoise shell on the fingerboard and some, maybe it's ivory or so. Yeah, that's a very nice example. Looks like there's potentially some other repairs and replace bits, but 5 to 7,000 euros. That's a very nice instrument. I don't have the translation on at the moment because Informal Shares keeps on attacking me with a weird orange box every time I'd use the translate, so I'm kind of avoiding that, so I might be missing a bit of information here, but I'm only doing a brief overview anyway. Here's a Milanese mandolin here, late 19th century. I quite like these actually, they're a little bit different to the Neapolitan ones. Tenor banjo there by Selma, I think we'll go past that. Gibson mandolin there, the A4 model. Not my favourite model of Gibson ones, but you can see the old Gibson decal there, so an earlier one, 1000 to 1500, they're always popular. Another kind of Calacha mandolin here, it's quite a nice one. Once again, maybe not so much my kind of style, but nice enough. Another mandor, wow, I don't think I've seen so many mandors before, and this is another beautiful instrument, 1500 to 2000 there. Saying something about Leopoldo Franciolini. So looks like that has quite a lot of ivory, I think, going on there, so that's going to be a difficult one to ship anyway. You can see the details there on the fingerboard, and look at that rosette, beautiful. That's a really nice instrument, 1500 to 2000. Very interesting. There's some great stuff in this auction. Another Gibson mandolin here. We won't go too in depth to this, but someone's had quite a good collection there. Really nice mandolins here. Another Neapolitan mandolin in the style of Bonaccia, 18th century. Once again, nice vaulted back there, 1000 to 1200. Not quite as nice as the other one. Needs a bit of work as well, but yeah, another good quality mandolin. Another banjo mandolin, the Gibson. You can see this is all fairly high quality stuff in this auction. Another Neapolitan mandolin, that's really quite nice, 3,000 to 4,000 euros. Donatus Filano. Yeah, it's quite impressive. Wow, look at that on the back, and that vaulting. Wow, some really beautiful instruments. Very nice. Tenor banjo, another Gibson. It's a curious looking thing. Another kind of banjo here. Mando contrabass. Mark Kalamazoo Gibson. Wow, okay. Really, someone had a big Gibson collection here. Half size violin here. A kind of pochette form. It's kind of interesting. So it's probably almost a like maybe it's a kind of almost like a piccolo violin or something. That's quite nice. 2 to 300. It's quite a nice looking instrument there. I quite like that. Another pochette here. Anonymous, needs a bit of work. Some really interesting stuff in this auction. An Egyptian oud here from the 1970s. I do like that a lot of these ouds kind of, you have the face of the maker in them. I think that violins should do that. Viol d'Amour, made in Mircore, 1000 to 1200. The label for Remy à Paris. That's a very, very interesting scroll there. Curious looking instrument. Yeah, that is interesting. Saying guitar anglaise. It's kind of one of these harp type guitar things, like an Edward Light kind of type thing. 300 to 500 euros. Yeah, I'm not too kind of fond of those. Here's a Quinton with a Solomon note, it seems. These are always quite curious, the Quintons. Interesting head and decorations on that. That's quite a nice instrument. 5,000 to 6,000. Well, I don't think I would be wanting to pay that much for it, but still. A couple of interesting scrolls and things going on there. Another pochette here, they're saying, from 1900. Interesting head on that. Let's see what else indeed that we have. 6-course lute here. Marcus Mevison, 1978. Looks nice enough. Domra contrabass. Zagreb. Interesting. Cicerone. Leopold Franciolini. It's interesting. Looks like some mixture of kind of older and new parts. Quite interesting. 2 to 2,500 there. Definitely don't see Cicerones very often. Baroque lute here. Van der Waals, 1973. Looks quite nice. Viola da Gamba here. 5 to 700. Looks fairly kind of standard. Another pochette here from 1900. Quirky thing going on there. It's one of these kind of horn violins, like a Stroval or something, but a different brand to that. Arch lute here. Casu Sato, 1980, 2 to 2.5 there. That's a beautiful looking arch lute there, very nice. Another one of these kind of Stroval type things. Another Viola d'Amore, 1900s, a slightly later one. Okay, an arch cittern, okay. 1780, that's quite interesting actually, 1000 to 1500. Yeah, that is quite interesting. Arch citterns are really not that common. I certainly have not seen that many of them come up for auction, so that is really quite an interesting item there. 1000 to 1500 by Ori. Yeah, that's pretty curious. That's nice to see. Cello here. Inspired Chanot. 5 to 700. That's interesting looking thing. Another lute here, Van der Geest. 10 course, I think. 10. Trying to improve my reading of French. Another lute here by Mevison. And the Viola da Gamba there, Zeller, 2009, so kind of modern stuff there. Modern Quinton as well, Dariel, 2008. Curious looking stuff, not really doing anything for me. Viola da Gamba here, Hilaire d'Arche. It's quite an impressive choice of wood there. It's got a case as well. Interesting. Right, we're on to the next page. Well, really interesting auction so far. Another arch lute here. Kazu Sato, 1978. So some really interesting items here. Mando lyre, Antonio Monzino. This are really curious things. These are quite popular. 800 to 1200. Good quirky auction. Guitar Espagnole, Jose Benedid in Cadiz, 1800, 6 to 7,000 euros. Yeah, very nice. Looks very similar to some of the other makers from Cadiz, like Pages. Looks a bit like a Jose Pages guitar, very similar kind of thing. I don't know the names of this maker, maybe there's a connection. Probably is. Romantic guitar here by Petitjean, 1830s, nice example. Very simple but nice enough. Lap steel there, interesting. Another Espanol, there you go, there's a Joseph Pages guitar there. Cadiz, 1810. Looks like it's had a lot of it's got a Francisco Bonici label in it. It's had obviously a bit of work and damage done to it, but interesting looking guitar there. 1000 to 1500. That seemed a fairly reasonable thing. Half size Jose Ramirez there. Don't think we need to look too much at that. Here is a Selma from 1948 jazz guitar. These are super popular and super expensive, which is always really curious. So yeah, if you're a jazz person, if you like kind of gypsy jazz, Django Reinhardt kind of stuff, that's your thing. Guitar, Matthias Simon, fairly standard kind of lower tier guitar of that period. Interesting harp guitar here, Stella. It's a curious one. Looks like kind of end of the 19th, kind of 1900 kind of thing. Jazz guitar here by De Moro. Romantic guitar by Rudolph, 800 to 1200. Looks kind of okay, nothing too crazy there. Amplifier, Watkins, it's cool. Resonator guitar there. Here's a Kono, Matsaru Kono, good guitar maker there, 1400 to 1800. Another romantic guitar by Rudolph, very similar to the other one. Jazz guitar there. Schrammel guitar, which is basically a kind of harp guitar as well, the German one, Hoyer. These are quite nice. I think I had one of these before, but it was in a bit of a mess. Classical guitar, Francisco Gomez. Transition guitar from Baroque, 1800. Interesting. 800 to 1200, needs a bit of work. Guitar transitional Lejeune, 1816. So this is kind of in that period, I guess, between Baroque guitars and the Romantic guitars, so somewhere in between. Carl Muller guitar here. Interesting, it's got that kind of Stauffer headstock but without the machines. Here's a guitar, romantic guitar, Visionaire Leon. This is kind of like the shield type guitars. These are quite curious. I think it's quite nice. That looks like quite a nice example, 2.5 to 3,000 there. It's quite cool. Jazz guitar here, Antoine de Moro. Another quite nice instrument here. Romantic guitar, Petit Jean Mirecourt. Once again, fairly standard but nice enough. Okay, a harp guitar by the Larson brothers at Dyer, 1500 to 1800. I suspect this will sell well. These are very, very popular as harp guitars go, so I think that would probably sell potentially more than that. Another romantic guitar from Mirecourt. Looks nice enough. Jazz guitar here, 3 to 4,000. Bortolo Bassato. Obviously another popular kind of jazz guitar maker. I'm not too familiar, but obviously another popular thing. Romantic guitar, 1830. Godot Molot. That's a nice instrument. Looks like it, yeah. It's had quite a bit of work to it, although it still has some issues. Famous kind of bass there. Oh, a guitar of Francesco Guadagnini. Okay, interesting. 1,000 to 1,500. Turin, 1934. That's kind of curious to see that. Harp guitar here, Gallesi, 3 to 500. That's a very wide-bodied instrument there. Romantic guitar here by Aubrey Mayer, 2.5 to 3,000. That's quite a nice guitar there. A lot of fancy inlays. Nice tuning machines. Wow, those tuning machines are something else. Yeah, really, really interesting tuning machines on that. Okay. Tysco guitar there. Torres. Carbonell Torres model. Classical there. Jumbo folk guitar by Żurowski, 1,000 to 1,200. Let's see, another De Moro jazz guitar there. That's interesting. And let's see, Portuguese guitar here, 1930s. A Fado guitar. Fender acoustic there. Another kind of jazz guitar by De Moro. I think a couple more classicals. Jose Ramirez, Kamori. There. Another De Moro. Another jazz guitar. Lap steel Rickenbacker. Let's have a look at this romantic guitar there. Fairly standard. Guitar inspired by Verboom. Okay. Frank Huber, 2001. Nice enough. 3 to 400. Lap steel, aluminium, national. 1000 to 1500. That's quite a nice example of a lap steel. And carry on. Oh, more guitars. Takamine here. Romantic guitar. 1836. Lots of romantic guitars here. These are all pretty normal, I think. Nothing too crazy. These are all much the same. Another jazz guitar here. Another transitional kind of guitar here. 800 to 1200. Very, very similar kind of French work here. Guitar Baroque, Marc Marchal, Paris, 1780, 3 to 500. Needs a bit of work there, but interesting enough. Guitar Vu Paris, Michael Lutzenberger there, 4 to 600. Got a couple of harps here. Salvi harp there, 2.5 to 3,000. Nice. Another harp here. Geo Morley, London. Okay. Clavecin de Pierre Verbeek. Interesting. After Rockers. Interesting. 1500 to 2000. Here's a load of Hurdy-gurdies. Let's actually have a look at this one, because this one looks like it's an exceptional hurdy-gurdy. Interesting. 3 to 4,000. Definitely collectors for these. A few more here. We've seen quite a lot of them in the past. This one's quite nice looking, actually. Ouvra, a Paris. That's quite nice. Some nice inlay work there. Nice head. A lot of, looks like a bit of ivory on there as well. Let's see what else we've got here. A few more. And then we've got a few accordions. If there's anything, concertinas as well. If there's anything super interesting on these. Organ de Salon. Exceptional accordion d'orgue. Interesting. Borel, 1987. Okay, an organistrum. Interesting. By Chance, 1980. Okay, that's curious. 5 to 700. It's kind of like a medieval form of hurdy-gurdy, so that's quite interesting. Chinese cello, apparently. That's kind of curious. Petit monochord, a clavier by Poussot. Curious instrument that. Okay. Interesting. Chalumeau, double chalumeau, 3 to 4,000. Fabrique and North Shields. Interesting. 3 to 4,000. They're quite popular. Hot Boys. Cabaret. And Northumbrian small pipes there. More other bits here. Let's see more Pierre de Cabrets, Northumbrian small pipes here. Other kind of similar bits here. More Cabrets. Let's see. Exceptional Vitrinaire de Exposition de la Maison Robot à Paris. Okay, interesting. That's curious. Percussion instrument. Flute piccolo here. We've got a load of flutes and things. Very interesting. Let's see if there's anything which really stands out here. Maybe here. Flute in Eben. Camus, Paris, 1800. Du corps de rechange. Okay. Cane piccolo. Okay, that's interesting. 750 to 800. That's quite interesting actually. Don't think I've seen one of those before. That's pretty cool. Quite like that. More flutes here. Let's see what else we got here. Let's carry on. If you know a lot about wind instruments, please do let me know if I've missed anything really interesting, because I don't have all that much knowledge here. Rare clarinet, LeBlanc. Interesting. 4,000 to 5,000. That's a curious looking thing. More kind of different types of clarinet there. Clarinet by H. Vreda, London. Yeah, lots more clarinets here. Really good selection of wind instruments here. Oh, we got something quite special here. A Hurdy-gurdies, Schwerer, Armania, 5 to 5,500. Okay, let's see what else we got here. More here, another Hurdy-gurdies, Johann Ziegler, 2 to 2,500. Let's see what else we got here. Got a bassoon here. A bassoon by Heckel, 15,000 to 18,000. Wow, okay. That's pretty substantial. German bassoon here, 2,500 to 3,000. Another few bassoons here. Brugmann, German bassoons. Bassoon Russer. Okay, interesting. 2 to 2,500. Serpent Foraville. Okay. More bassoons. Let's see what here. Interesting. A sarrusophone by Guatreau. Okay. Don't recall having seen one of those before. Selma alto saxophone. Here we go. 9 to 10,000 pounds. So it's what everyone wants, like a really high level Selma. Few more Selmas here. Looks pretty good. 3 to 4. Few other Selma bits. Let's see what else. Yeah, lots of Selma saxophones here. And now we're on to some cornets and some trumpets of different kinds, trombones as well. I think we're on to the last page here. Cornophone. Okay, that's pretty interesting. 1,500 to 1,800. Some really crazy stuff here. An embouchure. Barb Effie. Sax horn there. Sousaphone here. Interesting. Okay, so some horns here, natural horns. There's a nice kind of cased horn there, natural horn. A few other kind of piston horns here as well. This is quite a nice one. It's a nice natural horn there, Halari. In its case, you do see these quite often in museums. I think I was at the Bake Collection in Oxford recently, and they had a nice natural horn like this in its box with its different kind of bits and pieces. So yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, a really interesting auction actually. This latest one, really much better than the other thing. I mean, some amazing pluck stringed instruments. Some really high level stuff. Really interesting. Looks like some really good other kind of wind instruments, brass, like the whole thing. It all seems some really interesting stuff. Obviously the wind instruments is a bit more out of my knowledge sphere, but a few bits I can kind of recognize some of the makers. There's definitely some interesting stuff there. So yeah, really interesting auction actually. It's probably one of the first auctions in a while that it's actually caught my eye a little bit, because it's been a bit dry, a bit thin on the ground recently. But yeah, really good. I'll put a link in the description. Check it out, see what you think. If you're interested in wind instruments, stuff like that, please do let me know what I've missed, or educate me a bit on that kind of stuff. I appreciate it. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.